Stop. Before you take your next B12 pill, I want you to look at the other bottle sitting on your kitchen counter. If you see metformin for your blood sugar or an acid reflux blocker like omeprazole or Nexium, you are caught in a biological trap that most modern blood tests are completely blind to. Right now, while you feel like you are doing everything right, there is a ghost in your bloodstream. Your laboratory results might come back in the normal range. Your doctor might give you a pat on the back and tell you that everything looks perfect for your age. But deep inside your cells, your body is starving. And while you feel proactive by taking those daily supplements, your arteries are quietly losing their flex, becoming brittle and rigid like an old garden hose left out in the sun. Today, I'm revealing the hidden math. Your standard 15-minute medical appointment is missing, and why your normal results might be a dangerous lie. Here is the truth that stays hidden behind the pharmacy counter. Vitamin B12 doesn't just enter your body because you swallowed it. It requires a very specific, very fragile key. In the medical world, we call this intrinsic factor. I want you to imagine this protein as a highly trained taxi driver. B12 is a VIP passenger, but it's too large to walk into your bloodstream on its own. It must get into that taxi to be driven through the gates of your intestinal wall. But those two common medications you're taking, they don't just lower your levels. They effectively change the locks on the car doors and leave the passenger stranded. Let's look at the hard data. Clinical research published in the Journal of the American Medical Association and across the PubMed archives shows that metformin acts like a physical roadblock in your lower intestine. It specifically interferes with the calcium-dependent binding that allows that B12 taxi to pull over. Because of this, up to 30% of patients on long-term metformin therapy develop a measurable B12 deficiency. And those PPIs, those acid blockers, they kill the very stomach acid needed to even find the key in the first place. Large-scale studies have confirmed that taking a PPI for just 2 years increases your risk of B12 deficiency by a staggering 65% compared to people who don't use them. You are swallowing a gold standard supplement every single morning. But because of these medications, your body is treating it like literal waste. In the world of senior health, you are strictly what you can absorb. I want you to really settle in and think about the mechanics of your morning routine. You wake up, you take your metformin to keep your blood sugar stable, and you take your B12 because you've been told it's the spark plug for your energy and your brain health. You feel responsible, you feel safe. But inside your small intestine, a silent microscopic war is happening. The metformin molecule is physically changing the electrical charge of your gut lining. It's creating a literal field of resistance. It's like trying to push two magnets together that are facing the same way. They repel each other. You might have a stomach full of expensive vitamins, but they are effectively invisible to your bloodstream. This is the absorption gap that is stealing the vitality of millions of seniors across the country. And yet it almost never shows up on a standard physical because the industry is looking at the wrong numbers. When that B12 stays ghosted, meaning it's technically in your blood, but cannot enter your cells where the work happens, a toxic byproduct begins to climb. It's called homocysteine. I want you to think of homocysteine as metabolic trash. In a healthy body, your B vitamins act like a 24-hour janitorial crew. They find that trash and they recycle it into something useful that actually repairs your tissues. But when the B12 is blocked by your medications, the janitors never show up. The trash starts to pile up in your hallways. It doesn't cause a fever or a cough. It quietly triggers what we call vascular stiffness. Your arteries stop being elastic. They stop being bouncy. They become rigid. And in the cardiovascular system, rigid pipes don't bend under pressure. They break. This isn't just a theory. It is a clinical reality. Research indicates that for every 5 micromole increase in your serum, homocysteine, your risk of arterial stiffness increases significantly regardless of what your blood pressure or cholesterol looks like. Imagine your arteries like a brand new flexible rubber garden hose. When the pressure goes up, the hose expands. When the pressure drops, it snaps back into place. That flex is what protects you from a stroke. But high homocysteine acts like a slow-moving heat wave, drying out that rubber over months and years until it becomes a rigid, brittle plastic pipe. Eventually that hose becomes a rigid, brittle plastic pipe. If you trip or if you have a moment of high stress and your blood pressure spikes, that rigid pipe can't expand to handle the load. It cracks. It ruptures. This is why we see unexplained strokes in seniors who have perfect cholesterol and perfect blood pressure. The pipes were simply too brittle to handle the pulse of life, all because a simple B12 deficiency was being masked by a standard lab test that only looked at the surface of the water, never the rocks underneath. We are seeing a generation of seniors who are chemically weathering from the inside out. They are doing everything right on paper, but their internal infrastructure is failing because the cleanup crew has been locked out of the building. Let's go deeper into the kitchen chemistry of why this is happening. When you take an acid blocker like omeprazole, you are essentially taking the batteries out of your stomach's chemical scissors. To get B12 out of the protein in your food, like a piece of salmon or an egg, your stomach needs to be highly acidic. That acid acts as a locksmith. It unlocks the vitamin from the protein safe so it can meet its escort, the intrinsic factor. By turning off that acid with a PPI, you are leaving the B12 locked in the safe. It passes right through you. This is the first half of the pincer movement. If the locksmith is asleep, the VIP passenger never even makes it to the curb to wait for the taxi. Even worse, many of the B12 supplements you find at the grocery store are in a form called cyanocobalamin. This is a synthetic form of the vitamin that is literally attached to a microscopic cyanide molecule. Now, it won't poison you today, but think about the work your body has to do. Your liver, which is already busy processing your blood pressure meds, and your metformin, now has to perform a chemical surgery. It has to physically clip that cyanide molecule off and then find a methyl group to attach to the B12. So your cells can recognize it. If you're over 60, your liver is already working overtime. It's tired, it's running low on those methyl groups. It simply cannot handle the extra workload of processing synthetic vitamins. So you swallow the cheap B12, and it just sits in your liver's inbox unprocessed until it eventually gets filtered out by your kidneys and ends up in the toilet. You are essentially paying for expensive urine while your brain and your heart are starving for the active fuel they need to survive. This is the frustration I see in my clinic every day. Patients come in with bags full of supplements, wondering why they still feel drained, why their memory is slipping, and why their blood pressure won't budge. The answer isn't that they aren't taking enough. It's that they are taking the wrong form in a gut environment that has been compromised by their primary medications. We have to stop the cycle of metabolic waste. Now, I want to talk to you about the sticky artery phenomenon. Most people think heart disease is just about eating too much fat, but that's a massive oversimplification. Your artery walls have a delicate one-cell thick lining called the endothelium. It should be as slick as a Teflon-coated frying pan. When homocysteine rises because your B12 is being hijacked, that Teflon gets scratched. It becomes sticky. Suddenly those LDL cholesterol particles, even if your levels are normal, start to catch on those scratches. They embed themselves in the wall, they trigger inflammation. They create plaques that are unstable. These aren't the slow-growing blockages that doctors can see coming. These are the plaques that rupture suddenly because the artery wall is too stiff to flex under the pressure of a single heartbeat. We aren't just looking for blockages anymore. We are looking for the vascular weathering caused by this B12 ghost. When you have high homocysteine, you are essentially accelerating the aging process of your entire cardiovascular system. You could have the heart of a 60-year-old, but the arteries of an 80-year-old, because of this one missing nutrient. This is why some people seem to age overnight after starting certain medication protocols. It's not the disease itself that's aging them, it's the nutritional fallout that no one is measuring. This is the point where we move from the problem to the forensic solution. We aren't going to tell you to stop taking your medications. Metformin and PPIs serve a vital purpose for many, but we are going to make your B12 visible again. The first step in this bypass is changing the route. If the front door of your stomach is locked by your medications, we go through the side door. I'm talking about sublingual B12. These are liquid drops or tiny melts that you place under your tongue. Underneath your tongue is a direct highway to your heart. Research suggests that for patients with malabsorption, sublingual administration bypasses the gastrointestinal tract entirely, entering the bloodstream through the mucous membranes. You are taking the express bypass road around the metformin roadblock by going sublingual. You don't need stomach acid, and you don't need the intrinsic factor taxi. You are putting the nutrient directly into the blood where it can finally go to work cleaning up that homocysteine trash. Second, we must switch to the active form. I want you to go to your cabinet right now and throw away the bottles that say cyanocobalamin. Look for methylcobalamin. This is pre-activated fuel. It doesn't require your liver to perform surgery. It enters your system ready to work. It goes straight to that homocysteine trash and starts the cleanup process immediately. If you are already dealing with an absorption gap, the last thing you want to do is give your body more work to do. You want the most efficient, most direct route to cellular health. Your body is already struggling to maintain its balance. Don't give it a puzzle to solve when it needs a solution. Methylcobalamin is the gold standard for anyone on a chronic medication protocol, but how do you know if it's working? You cannot settle for a total B12 test. That is the biggest mistake I see in senior health today. A total B12 test is like looking at a bank account balance. It tells you there is money in the bank, but it doesn't tell you if the bank's doors are locked. You must demand the clinical gold standard, methylmalonic acid, or MMA. This is the cellular whistleblower. Research indicates that elevated MMA is a far more specific and sensitive marker for subclinical deficiency than serum B12 alone. It only rises when your cells are literally screaming for B12. If your blood test says your B12 is 500, which looks fine, but your MMA is high, it means the ghost is in the room. It means the B12 is in your blood, but it can't get into your house. It is the only forensic way to prove that your medications have locked the doors. When MMA levels start to climb, it's a direct signal that your metabolism is breaking down. It's the sound of a homeowner screaming because the trash hasn't been picked up in weeks. If we only look at the B12 number, we miss the scream, we miss the urgency. By testing MMA, we can catch the deficiency before it turns into permanent nerve damage or a cardiovascular event. This is the difference between reactive medicine and proactive forensic health. You deserve to know what is actually happening at the cellular level, not just what's floating in your serum. I want you to imagine a future where you aren't just aging, but you are thriving. Imagine your energy returning because your brain finally has the fuel it needs to fire those neurons properly. Imagine your blood pressure finally stabilizing because your arteries have regained their youthful elasticity and their ability to flex. This isn't a fantasy, It is the direct result of applying forensic science to your daily life. It's about moving beyond the normal lab range and moving toward optimal cellular function. You have worked too hard to let a simple absorption gap steal your golden years. You've spent decades building your life. Now is the time to build the infrastructure that allows you to enjoy it. I want you to take this information to your next doctor's appointment. Don't just mention it in passing. Make it the main agenda. Tell them you want to investigate your B12 absorption in relation to your metformin or PPI use. Use the terms I taught you today. Talk about the absorption gap and the MMA whistleblower. When you speak the language of forensic health, you move from being a passive patient to being the CEO of your own longevity. You are no longer just a number on a chart. You are an informed advocate for your own heart. Most doctors are overwhelmed with 15-minute appointments. They need you to bring the high-level data to the table so they can help you more effectively. Let me tell you about a patient named Dorothy. She was 72 and doing everything right. She walked, she ate well, and she took her B12 religiously. But she felt hollow. She felt like she was walking through water. Her standard doctor told her she was just aging, but when we looked closer, we found the trap. She had been on metformin for 10 years. Her B12 was normal at 450, but her MMA was through the roof. Her cells were starving while her blood looked perfect. This is the tragedy of the ghost. We switched her to sublingual methylcobalamin, and within 90 days, her homocysteine dropped and her energy returned. She wasn't aging, she was just being ghosted by her own medication. The body has a remarkable ability to heal when you remove the roadblocks. Dorothy proved that vascular inflammation isn't always a one-way street. Once her homocysteine levels were brought under control, her blood pressure readings began to soften. She felt lighter on her feet. The mental fog that she thought was the beginning of dementia simply cleared away. This is why I am so passionate about this topic. It's because the fix is often so simple, yet the consequences of ignoring it are so devastating. We are talking about the difference between a life of vitality and a life of silent decline. You have the power to change the trajectory of your health, starting with the very next supplement you take. Now look at the comments section below. I want you to type the word GHOST right now. If your doctor has never mentioned the homocysteine test or the MMA panel to you, I want us to see how many people have been left in the dark by the standard medical model. When we see those numbers, we realize we aren't alone in this struggle. It's a community of people who are all seeking the truth about their longevity. I'll be going through those comments personally because I want to understand the scale of this absorption gap in our community. Your voice matters, and your experience is the data we need to change how senior health is managed in this country. And if this explanation helped you understand that sandpaper effect on your arteries, please hit that like button. It helps the algorithm push this life-saving information to more seniors who are currently sitting at their kitchen counters wondering why they feel so tired. Share this video with at least one person over 60 who is taking these common medications. Your share could literally prevent a stroke for someone you love. We are building a movement of forensic health, and it starts with one share, one conversation, and one corrected lab test. Information is the only thing that can break the biological trap we've discussed today. Don't let your loved ones stay ghosted. Don't forget to hit subscribe and turn on those notifications, because next week I'm showing you the morning drink that resets your gut pH to maximize your nutrient uptake from the moment you wake up. We are going to fix the locksmith in your stomach once and for all, so that every supplement you take actually reaches your cells. I'm going to show you the exact ingredients that can restart your intrinsic factor taxi and clear the roadblock for good. You don't want to miss that episode, because it's the missing piece of the puzzle we started today. We're going to move from identifying the trap to completely dismantling it. I'm Dr. Michael Health, and this is Senior Health Photo. Take care of your heart, take care of yourselves, and remember that you are the ultimate authority on your own body. Don't let a standard lab test tell you how to feel when the forensic evidence says otherwise. Stay proactive, stay informed, and stay flexible. I'll see you in the next one where we continue this journey toward optimal health and longevity. Thank you for trusting me with your health education today. It's an honor to be part of your health journey. Take care, and I will see